If you're looking for the best basketball talk in the universe, you just found it. This is Deephoops, where fans are the host. Troy Ramel Royal and me, your point guard, Jehudi. We're talking basketball, all basketball, and nothing but basketball.
Well, it is another episode of Deephoops coming to you on DETV, the Rewind Network, Facebook, and YouTube. I am the minister.
And I'm Rob.
And we're not experts, but we're passionate fans talking about the game that we love, and that's the NBA and basketball. What's up, Rob?
How you doing?
I'm outstanding, bro.
Good.
Feeling good about myself. How you doing?
I'm feeling well,
Well, let's get it started. We did the East last week.
Yes.
And now we're talking about the Western playoff teams, who our predictions are for the Western playoffs. And so why don't you get it started with who you pick as the Western playoff teams?
Well, coming in at number 8 for me is the usual suspects, San Antonio Spurs. Number 7, it's going to be the Golden State Warriors. Number 6, I have the Utah Jazz. Number 5, I have the Los Angeles Lakers. Number 4, I have the Portland Trailblazers. Number 3, I have the Los Angeles Clippers. Number 2, I have the Houston Rockets. And number 1, I have Denver.
You know, I basically have the same. I have the same 8. It's just in different order.
Okay. Understand.
So let's do that. And then there's another element I want to add to this.
Sure.
Okay. So at number 8, I too have the San Antonio Spurs. But there's a caveat there. Put an asterisk on that. Okay? At number 7, I have the Warriors. Put an asterisk on that. At number 6, I have the Utah Jazz. At number 5, I have the Los Angeles Clippers. At number 4, I have the Portland Trailblazers. At number 3, I have the Los Angeles Lakers. At number 2, I have the Houston Rockets. And at number 1, I have the Denver Nuggets. Now, I think we switched the Clippers and the Lakers. I think, is that the only thing that we have different?
Yeah, that is what we have different.
That's the only thing we have
I believe
different.
we both have Portland at number 4.
Portland at number 4, right. Now, please understand, it's early season predictions.
Yes.
You know, we have the right to change our minds when we
Yes.
see something that's different. But as we go into the season, as we see it right now, this is what we see. I want to add this caveat before we start chopping it up. There are teams, because the West is so deep this year. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally, we were talking about teams in the production meeting that will be 12, but could have a decent record. So I want you to give me your 2 or 3 teams that are bubbling under the 8, that may be 9, 10, and 11 if you have it.
Well, number 9 would be the Sacramento Kings. Number 10 would be the New Orleans Pelicans. And number 11 would be the Dallas Mavericks.
Dallas Mavericks. And then, once again, we have the same thing, maybe a little different. I think Sacramento, because of some of the losses that they've had, even though they were number 9 last year, I think New Orleans, with what David Griffin is doing over there and the things that he added, and it's not just Zion. If it were just Zion, I wouldn't say that. But I think he put together a really good team, and that's why I put an asterisk on the Spurs. Because honestly, my number 9 team could be the number 8 team in New Orleans. New Orleans could be 9 just as easily as they could be 8, and so could Sacramento, who is my number 10. And so Dallas, I don't think so. I think Dallas needs to, I think they're putting too much in Porzingis. But at number 10, at 9, 10, at number 11, I have the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I also have Dallas at number 11. As far as New Orleans go, I believe that a lot is going to ride on the shoulders of Zion. But with that said, I believe David Griffin is building a culture there. He's building an organization there. And to your point, I think going forward, especially when you're looking into the future, I think that New Orleans is probably better set up than Sacramento. But for this particular season coming, because there's still some uncertainties about Zion and so forth, and although he's looking good early on in the preseason, but I believe Sacramento is a step ahead of him. Now, I know Sacramento have lost Willie Cauley-Stein, but to me, the biggest loss that maybe Sacramento has had might have been Dave Yeager and bringing in Luke Walton. Mm-hmm. So we have to see what kind of adjustments will be made, and will the team respond to Luke in the manner that they responded to
I think Luke is a non-factor. I think they're going to respond to Luke. Luke is a player's coach. Luke was sabotaged, in my opinion, by Magic Johnson. We'll talk about that later. I think he was sabotaged by Magic Johnson. And I think Luke is a good coach. And I think he has a young enough team that he will be able to really communicate with them and connect with them and get them where they need to be. But I just think that the organization in New Orleans, and if it were just Zion that I was thinking about, I mean, they have Derek Favors over there. They have Redick over there, J.J. Redick. They have, what's the point guard's name?
Lonzo Ball.
No.
Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday over there. And we'll talk about Alonzo Ball in the next show that we have. But I just think that that's a team set up not for a long run in the playoffs, but for first, they're this season making it to the playoffs, and that's going to look like Zion is making it to the playoffs in his rookie year, but it's way beyond Zion. And if Zion continues to play at the level that he's playing at in preseason, then it's a no-brainer to me.
We'll see. The games have to be played. I mean,
listen,
definitely not one.
They're preseason predictions.
Yes.
They're preseason predictions.
I still think San Antonio and Golden State will secure 7 and 8. I think that San Antonio have a few players that's coming back on their own. DeJounte Murray is coming back. I believe that San Antonio does have a culture of winning. And although that mystique of them is probably decreasing, declining in our eyes, but they're still going to be a top 8 team. I think that Steph Curry is going to will this team together to remain in the top 7. I think Utah has gotten better where I don't see them falling out of the 8 by adding Mike Conley Jr. there. So I look for that 6, 7, 8 to be secure. I do have the Lakers. This is where we differ. I think that the Lakers will come in at 5 because I think that the Lakers is going to be one of the few teams in the league that will feature some load management. And they have a history of some players that have injuries over the years, whether it's Davis, whether it's Rondo, whether it's Avery Bradley. Right now, they're going to start the season with Kuzma. I don't even know if he's going to start the season.
He's not starting the season.
So the thing is this, and I believe the Lakers' attitude is going to be more or less just be healthy in April. And I don't think they're really concerned where they fall. They're going to be confident that they think they can take on any opponent in the first round, whether they're on the road or at home. And I just think they're going to be 5th. And I think I like Portland. Portland added Bazemore. They added Hassan Whiteside. I think last year Portland learned how to win. They just ran into Golden State, and not too many teams can say they beat Golden State in the last 5 years. I mean, in the last 5 years, only 2 teams have beaten them. Mm-hmm. Toronto and the year Cleveland won.
Right.
So, I mean, losing to them is it's not like, it's a big deal because everybody else has lost to them. So I look at Portland to secure that 4th spot. I believe Clippers is going to feature some load management, and especially with Paul George when he comes back from the shoulder surgery. But I do think they're going to be a top team simply because Doc Rivers is going to coach. And as long as he got one of those 2 on the court with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, he's going to get the best of his team. And Houston and Denver, those guys are not going to feature any load management.
No.
They're going for the jugular.
Full tilt.
Yes,
Full tilt.
they're trying to get the number one seed. I believe it's going to be a neck and neck race between them for the season, bar no major injuries. Denver is, believe it or not, maybe one of the deepest teams in the league.
And they get that, what's that boy's name that was sat out last year?
Yeah, Michael Porter Jr. comes back.
Yes.
They got Boy in the draft. And here's a sneaky acquisition that they made that I think is going under the radar. But they're getting Jeremy Grant from OKC.
Yep.
Kind of a Swiss Army kind of player that can play the 3 to 4, maybe even some small 5. But he's athletic. Doesn't need a play call for him. His presence is not felt in the box score, but it's felt in the game. So I look for Denver and Houston to battle it out for 1 and 2.
You know, we have the same thought process across the board. I think with on the Clippers with
Paul
George sitting out the first part of the season, that's going to impact them. Mm-hmm. They're going to be able to win, but they're not going to win, and they're not going to be the same team that they will be when Paul George comes back. All right? So there's some games there. Let's say if it's 20 games that he sits out, they may go 15-5. They may go whatever, 12-8. But they're not going to have the record that they would have with him in there.
Uniform.
Okay?
Yes.
Then there's going to be the element of load management. Mm-hmm. I know that they're saying that they're not using that, but trust me, they're going to use it.
Especially for Paul George.
Especially for Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Okay? And when you talk about injury prone, both of those guys have been injured. So when we talk about injury prone, we look at the Lakers and we talk about injury prone. Well, think about it. LeBron James has only been injured one time in his career.
Well, it's not LeBron that I'm
Anthony Davis, right? Anthony Davis.
It's Anthony Davis. It's
but,
Avery Bradley. It's Ron.
Well, but Avery Bradley, all of those other pieces are fill-in pieces. You can, and I think that they have next man up, and that's what they're going to do. And in our next show, we're going to talk about the players of the year and all of those, the awards at the end of the year predictions. I'm going to have a surprise for you on that. A definite surprise from you on that with the Lakers. So I just think that the Lakers will be in that top 4. And you think the Clippers are going to be in that top 4. We just flip-flopped on that. I will tell you this. Utah is a team that I think has a lot of potential. With Denver, they're going to be, in my opinion, they're going to be number 1, period.
Yeah.
It's going to be a battle with them in Houston because both of them, they're not seasoned enough to say, all we need to do is make the playoffs.
Right.
You understand that they're young, even though Houston is not really young with their star players, but they don't have a lot of playoff success. So they want to get seeding. They want a home court advantage, where the Lakers and the Clippers are not as concerned about that.
No.
But Denver, Houston, they're definitely concerned about that. Portland, here's the thing. We both have them at number 4. I don't know what Portland is going to look like. I'm wondering, even with the additions, were the additions enough, and has the window started closing on them? Has the window started closing on the coach?
Well, here's the thing about Portland. I think they're going to be a top 4 teams in only terms of wins and losses, but that doesn't mean they're a top 4 team.
Right, okay.
Okay, because load management. If everybody played every game, Portland wouldn't be a top 4 team. Right? Portland could be a top 4 team, a top 3 team, and could be the first home team to lose in the first round.
And to that point, we both have them in the top 4, right? They could be the team, honestly, that falls out of the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't see that.
Listen.
I don't see that.
They could be a team.
I don't see that.
I said it here. I'm not saying that they will.
Yeah, I don't see
They
that.
could be a team beyond Utah. I think Utah's not falling out. If there is a team that we have in the top 8, other than San Antonio, that could fall out of the playoffs, it's Portland, in my opinion, and San Antonio. And, at some point, San Antonio is going to fall out of the playoffs.
I actually don't think it's Portland. I think that if there's a team that falls out of the top 8, and I can't believe I'm saying this, it would be Golden State.
Oh, no.
And the reason why I say it's Golden State, for a couple of reasons. They're coming into the season down a man. So they can't afford to have an additional injury to occur. So they're already down.
From an injury standpoint.
Right. So if you're going to have Clay missing to March, you can't afford to have Steph or Draymond or maybe even
But Rod, I get your point.
You can't have them out for 20 games.
I get your point. But barring injury, we have to say that, barring injury. Because if Damian Lillard goes out for any sizable amount of time, they're not making the playoffs.
Here's the thing.
You can do that with any team.
You say bar injury, but our seeding of the Clippers and the Lakers are based off of injuries and load management. So we can't bar injuries.
No, my seeding of the Lakers and the Clippers is load management. I don't factor in injury because that's predicting the unknown.
Paul George is out probably for the first 20 games.
Right, he's out. But I'm not going to say if someone else gets injured. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand that, but your question was, you said you thought Portland could be the one that could easily fall out outside of San Antonio, and I said the only one that I could see falling out, because I think Portland is seasoned enough to remain in there because they had a taste of it. But I think Golden State, A, another injury might affect them, but B, which was the point that I didn't get to, what if their thirst is quenched? I mean, this is a team, thirst? Golden State. What if their thirst is quenched? They went through 5 straight years of championship playoff. They may be on tired legs. You just don't know.
Okay, all right.
They're bringing in a couple of
Let's talk about the thirst. Let's talk about the thirst.
Incorporated.
Let's talk about the thirst on that one. What did Green say to Durant? We won before you got here. We can win without you. Right. They're going to be motivated this year to show that everyone is counting them out. No, their thirst is not quenched.
Action speaks louder than words. I agree with you. But if we're playing a what-if game, and that's the only reason why I bring Golden State up, is if their thirst has been quenched, if they have one more injury, yeah, I could see them falling out. We both got them at 7. So being at 7 is not far from nothing.
But I put an asterisk on it. So let me talk about my asterisk. Okay? If, now I'm really playing the what if. I think that they can move up from 7 easily. To 6 or 5.
Okay.
Depending on how they start the season and when Clay comes back and what shape Clay is going to be in. If Clay comes back in shape, and they say he's like a machine.
Right.
He wanted to come back out there.
He wanted to play that when he got hurt.
When he got hurt.
Yeah.
So they said already he's ahead of schedule. So if he comes back earlier than predicted, and I think with D'Angelo Russell and Kerr, he's going to have a system in place. And Willie Cauley-Stein is over there. And they got, what's the other big man's name? Looney. They're going to have, and he's going to implement that bench, and he's going to put some role players. I'm telling you right now, I have them at 7, only because I don't know when Clay is coming back. But Steph Curry is going to have such a season this year. He is going to have such a season this year. He's going to have an MVP caliber season. And when Steph Curry has an MVP caliber season, watch out.
Listen, I don't doubt or dispute what you say. Let me put it that way. I don't dispute what you say with the if. If Clay comes back early, sure, I could see them being higher. They're capable. This is a seasoned team.
Right.
It's a veteran team. They know what it takes. Probably more so than most of the other teams in the league. But they still have some incorporation to do. I believe in Steph Curry. I believe in him. I don't think he's number 8 all time in NBA history, which Bleacher Report has him. But I believe in Steph Curry. But if we're defending Golden State, should we send a double team on Steph Curry and let Russell beat us? And I think that's what Steph is going to face. He's going to face more double team pressure this season without Clay on the court than he's ever had. And it's going to be challenging for him. And I want to see what, and again, I believe in Steph, and I think Steph is going to have perhaps, not from a stat standpoint, but I think he's going to have one of his most impactful seasons in a while.
Right.
And there's no Kevin Durant to share the load. Now we're going to find out, is he one of the top 5 players in the game? I had him at number 3. We're going to find that out, especially with Clay not on the court. Is he going to play both sides of the ball? Is he going to defend? Is he, if he does defend, does that help the team or does that weaken the team? Because now, is he using too much energy that would take away from his offense? So there's going to be a lot of questions on the Golden State side. But I don't think they fall out of the playoffs by no stretch of the imagination. But if an injury does occur throughout that season, it could be challenging.
Yeah, as we go through it, if Jokic gets injured,
I still think Denver is in the playoffs.
They may be in the playoffs, but they're damn sure not number 1.
They're not. They're probably far from number 1.
Far from number 1.
Yeah.
And they're teetering at 8-7 without Jokic.
They're probably 6.
I can't have them that high. Jokic is too important. Jokic is so important.
How many games are we talking?
I can't. I don't like predicting it.
Yeah, if he's out 20 games, they still 6 seed.
Okay. I don't like predicting injuries.
I understand.
So I'll leave that alone. But I'm just saying, any team losing a key player, they're going to drop. Now, the question is, are they going to drop out of the playoffs, or are they just going to drop in seeding? But they're going to drop. So that's why I'm not going to factor in, even though Anthony Davis is injury prone, there's going to be a load management factor to him. There's going to be somewhat of a load management factor to LeBron. But as Deuce said earlier today, the person that they cannot afford to lose is LeBron. Because Anthony Davis hasn't proven that he can win on his own. LeBron has proven that he can carry a team into the playoffs. Anthony Davis has not proven that. And so if there's any injury that happens, you would prefer, as long as it's not a long sustained injury, you would prefer it to happen to Anthony Davis and not LeBron.
Wow. We're going to see what happens. It makes for good theater, that's for sure.
It definitely makes for good theater. Let me ask you this. With the Clippers, what do you see their strengths being, and where do you see weaknesses?
Well, I think their strength is actually going to be on the defensive side of the ball. Their weakness, to me, maybe Zubac. I like Montrezl Harrell, and I don't know if he's yet to be a starter, a full-time starter, but I love his role coming off the bench, competing with Lou Williams for 6th Man of the Year. But something about Zubac that I'm a little bit concerned. He's not as athletic as he may need to be. He's got to be a shot blocker. I don't know if he's a shot blocker, but to me that might be their weakness. But outside of that, I find very little weakness in the Clippers, and I think the Clippers, full strength, could possibly beat anybody.
What are the strengths and the weaknesses of the Lakers?
I think the weaknesses of the Lakers is they really don't have a steady dose of outside shooting. And also, I think the main weakness is that they have a bunch of players on that team that is worthy of 20 to 25 minutes. But I don't know if there's anybody on that team outside of Anthony Davis, LeBron, and maybe Kuzma that's worthy of 35 minutes. And I'm curious to see, with all these new players and a new group of coaches, how do they put it together? And with Davis being injured and with Kuzma being injured, does that delay the process to begin the season? So to me, putting it all together, that's what it would be.
You know, I thought you were going to say their weakness could be their coaching, especially when you compare it to Doc Rivers and his coaching staff. I think they set Vogel up to either have a great year or a disastrous year. And why I say that is because they have Jason Kidd and Lionel Hollins on his bench. Independently, great, but not great, but very good head coaches. I don't think there's a great head coach on that staff, even with Vogel. But I think it's a good staff, just good. And I think that's going to be their weakness. I think they're deep, they have depth, they have experience. But coaching, I want to see what they're able to come up with schematically that's going to help them to accentuate the greatness that they have on the team. We're going to take a quick break and we'll come right back. But we basically talked about our predictions for the East and the West. But let me say this to you out there. We'd like to hear your predictions because what they are predictions. And we always say that we're not experts, but we're passionate fans. And as a fan, listen, I can adjust my predictions as the season goes along. If I see something that shows me something else, I'm going to adjust it, and you have the right to adjust yours. So these are our predictions. We'd like to hear yours, but it's now time for our closing comments. Ron?
My closing comments is going to center around David Griffin of the New Orleans Pelicans, GM, president, vice president of operations. I'm not sure of his exact title. This is a guy that I actually wanted to have the job over at the Knicks. He's respected around the league. He's a very knowledgeable guy. And what he has done in a short time with the New Orleans Pelicans has them really on the bubble or on the cusp of making the playoffs in his first year. I mean, he had the task of trading Anthony Davis. He was fortunate to have the ping pong balls land in his lap where he got the #1 pick. But you know what? When you do things right, things happen for you. It's not surprising that that happened. So I'm giving a shout out to David Griffin. He's stepped into an organization where many people thought that they would sell the team, move it to Seattle. Anthony Davis was like, losing him was going to be the end of the world. And all he has done in less than 3 months is change the organization that was heading this way and quickly have them going this way. And I believe in the very near future, the New Orleans Pelicans are going to be a team to reckon with in the future, in the West. Those are my closing comments.
In the future, in the West, and maybe the future is this season.
Could be nice.
It could be this season. My closing comments revolve around my man, Magic Johnson. Doesn't the Magic Johnson have a part ownership of the Los Angeles Dodgers? Didn't Magic Johnson just quit from the Los Angeles Lakers? When Magic Johnson was on the court, he was Magic Johnson. He did things that mystified us. But Magic Johnson in business, well, let me not say in business because a lot of people will come after me. In sports business, it's Tragic Johnson. He's a jinx. The Los Angeles Dodgers cannot win when they go to the playoffs. And I know this is Deephoops, but we're talking about Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson, you need to get out of the sports business and just run a Starbucks or something, or run a TGI Fridays. Do something other than sports because you don't know what you're doing when it comes to sports business. Your ego is too big. Your ego served you on the court, but it doesn't serve you in the front office. Those are my closing comments. Well, I tell you, DETV, Rewind Network, Facebook, YouTube, continue to watch, continue to support, spread the word. We're doing some great things here at Deephoops, and we're going to continue to do them. I am the minister.
And I'm Rob.
And we're not experts, but we're passionate fans talking about the game that we love. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.
Peace.